One of the most common debates I hear when talking about rock music, specifically Guns N' Roses, is what album is better, Use Your Illusion 1 or Use Your Illusion 2? And in this video, I'm going to put both the albums through 8 different rounds to decide which one is officially the better, although it's subjective. Which one is the better album? So let's do this. So the 8 different rounds, I'm going to put them up against each other in are consistently top 2 songs, bottom 2 songs, pacing, cultural impact, best vocals, best instruments, and of course my pick, because as I said before, this is a subjective list. It's obviously what I think, but I feel like that just has to be like a little add-on in the end. But let's start this off by comparing the consistency of the albums. So I really enjoy both the albums. They both clock in at an hour and 16 minutes, and Use Your Illusion 1 has 16 songs, whereas Use Your Illusion 2 has 14 songs, although they are the same length overall. But for me, I'd consider Use Your Illusion 2 a more consistent album. I think that overall it's just better and more, as I said, more consistent because it doesn't have as many lows as Use Your Illusion 1. They're both really good albums, except Use Your Illusion 1 kind of goes off just a little bit sometimes, whereas Use Your Illusion 2 has maybe a few songs, but not nearly as much. Now, comparing the top 2 songs from each album, from Use Your Illusion 1, I'm going to talk about November Rain and Don't Cry, the original, and from Use Your Illusion 2, I'm going to talk about Civil War and Knocking on Heaven's Door. These are just my 2 personal favorites from each album. Again, subjective list, I just have to keep saying that. But for this round, as much as I love Civil War and Knocking on Heaven's Door, I have to give it to Use Your Illusion 1 for November Rain and Don't Cry. They're 2 of my 10 favorite Guns N' Roses songs. I mean, I love the other ones so much, but just look at it overall. November Rain is just such a grand song. It's an amazing ballad, and it really helped to show that Guns N' Roses can include piano in a song and make a song that is 8 minutes and 56 seconds long and still keep you enthralled. And for Don't Cry is one of the most catchy rock songs of all time. It's so fun to sing along to. I think the vocals there are incredible. They're both fantastic songs. Again, I love all 4 of those songs, but Use Your Illusion 1 does come out on top here. Now, on the opposite end of that spectrum, we have the bottom 2 songs, and from Use Your Illusion 1, that would be, for me, You Ain't the First and Double Talking Jive, and from Use Your Illusion 2, that would be My World and Get in the Ring. And for this one, again, I have to give it to Use Your Illusion 1 because looking at My World, I think it's one of the worst album closers out there to such a great album. Like, it's not the worst song in the world, but it is by no means a good song. But when you have an album as great as Use Your Illusion 2 and it closes off with My World, it is embarrassing, especially coming after You Could Be Mine and Estranged. And then Get in the Ring is a song that I've never really loved, but Use Your Illusion 1, you know, You Ain't the First isn't the greatest song in the world. It's easily my least favorite on that album. It feels so out of place, but I have to say that Double Talking Jive is actually a pretty solid song, so that's what puts Use Your Illusion 1 above it. Smoothie. Next up, we have pacing, and when it comes to pacing, what I mean by that is if you listen to the album all the way through, which album feels not even more consistent, because we already talked about that, but which one, you know, flows better, and do you think that maybe it drags in some spots? Some songs you're like, oh, I could skip this. What song do I think is better at that and has better pacing? As I said, both the albums are quite long. They're both an hour and 16 minutes, but I have to give it to Use Your Illusion 2. Just when I listen to them both, basically back to back, which I haven't done before, but I've like one day listen to this, one day listen to the other. I have to say that easily Use Your Illusion 2 was much better, just because there were a bunch of songs on Use Your Illusion 1 which felt very throwaway and felt almost pointless, and sure, we have a few that are just kind of on Use Your Illusion 2, but out of all of them, when I'm listening to one, I don't feel like, oh my god, let's go to the next song, when I'm listening to the second one versus the first one. Then we have cultural impact, and what I mean by this one is what song do you hear on the album more when you think of Guns N' Roses? Which one do I think has impacted their career even more and just the whole culture around it, especially of rock music? And for that, I easily have to give it to Use Your Illusion 2 for one song alone. I think you know what song that is, Knocking on Heaven's Door. I know a lot of people will get mad because, I mean, it's one of the most popular rock songs out there, at least Guns N' Roses' version of it. But when you look at that song alone, every single person out there who pays attention to pop culture and all stuff like that, they know Knocking on Heaven's Door. It is a fantastic song. And I also have to mention that You Could Be Mine also played in Terminator 2 Judgment Day, and a lot of people know the song from that movie, so that also adds on to Use Your Illusion 2 winning this round. And then we have best vocals, and this is always a really hard round because Obviously, Axl Rose, one of the greatest singers, not only of rock, but one of the greatest singers ever. He has the widest range out of any singer ever. Don't believe me? Look it up. And this was actually a really hard round. This might have been the hardest round for me, but I also have to give this one, again, to Use Your Illusion 2, just because there's a lot of songs, like Knocking on Heaven's Door. His vocals are so good there. I think that's probably his best, because they go like deeper, and he goes through a bunch of different notes. I don't know them too well, but when listening to the song and you really pay attention, or if you just listen to music like that, you can hear him go through different ones, and I always think of that. And then we have some really fast songs. Obviously, we have a bunch of great ones on Use Your Illusion 1. We have, of course, some of the best ones. November Rain, Don't Cry, Live and Let Die, Dust and Bones, they're all great. But I think on Use Your Illusion 2, overall especially, he just has so many ones, like A Strange, Oh My God, You Could Be Mine, 14 Years, Civil War, like so many. And in our second last round, we're gonna focus on the best instrument. What I mean by that is the best instrumental album. Like when we look at the instrumental aspect, what album do I think is superior? And for me, I have to say Use Your Illusion 1, mainly for November Rain alone. I just think that it combines everything, the piano, the guitar solos are some of, if not the greatest guitar solos of all time, because there's two. I mean, they are flawless. I'd say they're probably my favorite out there. And I think that overall, when I think of both the albums, I think of actually the instruments in the first one more so than the second one. I can think of more songs from the first one that have stronger instruments in them and more memorable ones. Again, it's really hard to compare these albums. They're both great. They both have, all these things. They both have very good vocals, very good instrumental aspects to them. I think that's the best way to describe it. I may be just stupid, but I think that in this round, Use Your Illusion 1 does come out on top. And finally, we have my pick. Again, it's a subjective list, but here, I just have to throw it in there. What album do I prefer? If I could just keep one of these albums, which one would it be? And for me, I have to say Use Your Illusion 2. I just think because of all this. And in this list, the first Use Your Illusion won 3 rounds, whereas the second one won 5 rounds. So overall, I have to say that Use Your Illusion 2 is the better album, and maybe, Use Your Illusion 1 might have a cooler album cover. Just, I like the red and the yellow versus the blue and the purple. They're both amazing. They're visually stunning. Some of my favorites. Maybe that one is better, but overall, I have to give it to Use Your Illusion 2. But which album do you prefer? Maybe put them through these rounds by yourself, make up some on your own. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Over and out.